Hey guys, Joe Wolverton, Teacher of Liberty here. There's a lot going on in the world, and I've not spoken to you in a while. There's a lot going into that. Big things on the horizon. Not going to talk about it, but big announcements, really wonderful things. But right now, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the world. So many of you have emailed and contacted me, messaged me, and asked if I would comment on this stuff, and I want to. So, there's so much violence in our country. There is so much disagreement, so much destruction. Have you wondered why? Why can't we have peace? Well, guys, there's a really fundamental reason, and it has nothing to do with COVID, and it has nothing to do with Black Lives Matter. And in fact, it has very little to do with Marxism or capitalism. It has to do with the concept of a society, a people. Now, I'm not going to come at you politically because I don't care. Politics is what tyrants use to keep us from talking about principles. So I'm not going to come at you. So if you expect a political party line to come out of my mouth, it ain't going to happen. So let's talk about why there is such turmoil, such contention, such destruction. Okay? So, first step, why do people form societies in the first place? Why is there a state of Arizona? Why is there a state of Oregon, a state of Texas, Utah? Why do people form societies in the first place? I'm going to turn you first to one of the guys on the Founders Recipe list. If you don't know what that is, look at the other video. A guy named Samuel Pufendorf. Yes, funny name. I don't know what happened there, but so Pufendorf writes in his book, The Whole Duty of Man, According to the Law of Nature, he writes about what it is, why people, if we're just all living together, why do we separate off into groups? And I'll tell you in advance, Pufendorf ain't the only one to talk about it. But I'm going to read to you what he says about why is it that mankind move into these separate societies like states, countries, and that, okay? He says, they do this to form safeguards against the depravity of mankind. To avoid that danger, so to avoid the danger of the depravity of mankind, agreeable men, meaning men who agree with each other, join forces by interweaving their interests and safety, forming confederacies for their mutual safety and support. To achieve this purpose, those who seek it should be firmly joined together. Do you get that? In other words, societies and governments, we form them because we share principles and beliefs. We want to live around people who share those principles and beliefs with us, and we want to separate ourselves from those who don't agree with us. So we live according to our principles and belief, and all others can do likewise. If you want to be Marxist, be Marxist. I don't want to be, so I'll take the people that want to live a capitalist society, a market society, and we'll separate ourselves, right? Pufendorf, Sidney, they talk about how Abraham did that, right? Abraham separated himself from his fathers because he didn't agree with what was going on there. We do that too. So, do you understand? That's the first fundamental flaw. Forming a society is for the purpose of securing peace and liberty, not riots and slavery. Why do we see this country on fire? Why do we see so many riots, so much turmoil? So much hatred? Because we're not a people. The Constitution, we the people, we're not a people. We do not share values. Our only hope, guys, think about it. Why? It makes no sense to say, well, the people want to live in a Marxist society and they want to they have certain values. I don't agree with them. But you know what, guys? We're all in it together. Rubbish. That doesn't make any sense. Imagine that you joined a club because you thought it was a good club to join, a well-run club, and then people in the club start abusing you. They start smoking. They start throwing things at you, all of that kind of stuff. Would you stay in the club? If those club members that in the club that you had joined started threatening your life, your liberty, and your property, if you're sitting there and every day you're in the club meeting and they steal your stuff and then you try to get it back and they punch you in the face, you going to stay in that club? That's what Pufendorf is saying. That doesn't make any sense, guys. That's not a people. That's a randomly thrown together group of people that are going to be fighting. And in fact, he says that in his book. You're going to have chaos if you do that. Our only hope is separating into these groups and letting each other live according to how we believe. I'm not saying my way is right, but I'm saying our two ways don't get along. And there's no reason we should be forced to do that. Use your common sense. All right? So, in the Bible, out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses is the truth of all things established. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to call as my 3 witnesses Cicero, right? Cicero, for those of you who learned Latin at a certain school. Cicero, Pufendorf, and Algernon Sidney. Those are my 3 witnesses. Let's go, fellas. So first, Cicero. A people is not any collection of human beings brought together in just any sort of way, but as a group of people associating themselves with an agreement on the respect for justice and with a common understanding of what is good for all. All right? Mr. Algernon Sidney. That they might live together in fraternal, brotherly equality and have a right of framing such conditions of their union as best pleases themselves. By this means, every member agrees together and have all power in themselves and over themselves, subject to none other human law than their own. All right? Think about that. Watch this video over and over. Share this. All right? My last witness is Mr. Pufendorf. Among those which join together to form a government in a country, it is absolutely requisite that there be a perfect consent, perfect meaning complete, consent and agreement concerning the use of the means of government. If they do not agree with themselves, but are divided and separated in their opinions, they will be divided into parties and will clash. Guys, the defense rests. Those witnesses, plus what you see yourselves, there is but one hope for people who share principles and belief to separate into those societies where they can have this complete agreement. Thank you, guys. Please watch this, please share this, and please subscribe and let others know we might have a shot of returning to peaceful living. Thank you. Good night.